morning, everyone. My name is Rachel Carruthers, and I'm the events manager here at the Portland Regional Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to Growth Basics for Business, a monthly breakfast seminar series which provides a forum to gain useful do-it-yourself workplace solutions and insightful, actionable tips. Today is our 8th event in the 24-25 season of Growth Basics for Business, and I want to thank Eaton Peabody for their continued support of this virtual event series yet again this season. Excuse me. This morning's topic, Inbox Zero, Reclaim Your Time and Focus, is presented by Avi Fox of Avi Fox Creative. Today, Avi will show us how to transform our inboxes from a cluttered mess into a streamlined productivity tool with her Inbox Zero method. In this session, Avi will walk us through a few simple yet powerful techniques like archiving, filters, and smart scheduling to help us regain control, reduce stress, and make email management effortless. Now, like all the Chamber's virtual signature events, today's presentation is free and is being recorded. It'll be made available for free replay on the Chamber's website and YouTube page. Excuse me, my office phone just started ringing. To keep up to date on all the Chamber's news and events, visit our website, portlandregion.com. Check out our events page, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and sign up for our weekly email newsletter while you're on our website. Before we begin today's program, I just want to remind everyone that we are using a platform called StreamYard this morning. This platform provides improved production and interactive elements that truly enhance our virtual events. On that note, I'd like to point out that when you have questions for our presenter, you can type them in the YouTube chat throughout the presentation. As well as interacting with Avi throughout her presentation, we'll also serve some time at the end of the presentation for a Q&A session with everyone here this morning. So please do not hesitate to engage in the conversation. Now, at this point, I'd like to acknowledge our presenting sponsor of Growth Basics for Business, Eaton Peabody. For over 7 years, Eaton Peabody has been our presenting sponsor of this series, and they've continued their support yet again this season. Eaton Peabody is a full-service, Maine-based law firm with nearly 50 attorneys serving Maine clients from offices in Augusta, Bangor, Ellsworth, and Portland. They assist companies of all sizes in a variety of industries. So whether you're an established financial institution or just a small business taking the first few steps, they can help you with all your legal needs. To learn more about the services that they provide and the industries that they serve, please visit their website, eatonpeabody.com. Also be sure to follow them on LinkedIn to stay up to date on legal news and future community events. Now, I don't want to take any more time away from our presenter this morning. So with that, I will hand things over to Avi. Avi, take it away.
Thank you so much, Rachel, and thank you to the Chamber for having me. Today, I'm excited to share my go-to strategies for setting up and maintaining Inbox Zero using Gmail's web platform. So I've been self-employed since 2010, which is pretty much my entire adult life. And across my career, I've worked with thousands of clients of all kinds in all kinds of industries. And since 2018, my focus has been working as a solo creative and operations consultant. So I help small businesses, nonprofits, entrepreneurs build brands and systems that are both beautiful and functional. And because of that, in my work, I wear a lot of hats: business strategist, website designer, photographer, which you can see a little bit of here. And this means that I am often juggling a lot of moving pieces. So this is my why for Inbox Zero. Like many of you, I've definitely felt overwhelmed by managing it all, especially email. And back in 2018, I realized I needed a better system, and I discovered Inbox Zero. I researched every method I could find, and I built a version that worked for me. Pretty soon, I started teaching it as a workshop, and my clients began asking me to help them set up their inboxes. I've been practicing it consistently for years, and it's been a total game changer, both for me and my clients. So I'm excited to share this whole swirl with you today. And at the end of the talk, I'll share a link where you can download this presentation, grab a PDF checklist, or book a one-on-one session with me, or talk about team trainings. So sit back, enjoy, and here we go. And a quick note, I'm not affiliated with Gmail or Google. I just really like their tools and use them daily. Okay, so let's talk about the cost of a messy inbox. To me, a messy inbox is a totally unnecessary layer of mental clutter that can feel like it's hanging over you even when you're not at a computer, like this picture. The cost of this can include missed opportunities, lost time, decision fatigue, stress, communication breakdowns, not to mention reduced focus because you're carrying all of these open loops around in your head. It's a real mental load. It also contributes to work-life bleed when your inbox feels like it's never off, which doesn't feel good. So the results, what happens when you practice inbox zero? Beyond my own experience of it being a total game changer, feeling like I have work-life balance, feeling like I can actually get ahead, I wanted to share this feedback from someone who attended one of my workshops. So Sarah W. says, I've been trying to get my inbox to zero for years. Instead of going through and deleting everything I learned new ways to successfully manage my inbox. Utilizing snooze, filters, and archive are allowing me to open my inbox in the mornings and feel less overwhelmed by all the mailing lists and non-essential emails that arrive overnight. I would totally recommend it to anyone who wants to take the reins back into their power. So, Inbox Zero can help you feel lighter, less overwhelmed, and stop dreading email. And the goal is not perfection, it's a practice, just like yoga. So you can set it up, work on it, show up, let it serve you. And over time, you will definitely see results. Okay, so what you'll learn today. This Inbox Zero system is one that once you get it set up, it's pretty easy to actually stick to, which is why it's worked for me for so many years. We'll cover a mindset shift, how to prepare your inbox, and 5 core tools that have had the biggest impact on how I manage my own email and help my clients manage theirs. While this training is focused on Gmail, many clients and workshop participants have told me that they've successfully applied these principles to other email platforms because a lot of these tools are universal. So if you're on Microsoft or somewhere else, you might be able to take some of these and apply them to your own platform. Okay, so I want to take a minute and ask you a question. Um, This will require everyone to be a little vulnerable, but if you can take a second and go check your inbox number and drop the number of emails in your inbox in the chat, that would be great. There's no shame. This is just a starting point. Let's see just where everyone is so I have an idea, whether it's 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000. Go take a peek and let's see. Oh, hey, Heather's here. Hey, coworkers. Awesome. 11,669. Oh, Brian, I feel for you. Yeah. Messy inboxes don't make one love life. 4,000. You're totally fine. We got this, Brian. 646. Awesome. She has 104. Okay, great. Like, love it. This method is going to work for all of this. All right. And if you also want, Brian kind of already got started on this, but how does this make you feel? Overwhelmed, scared? Throw a few adjectives in there so I can see just where you are in terms of feelings with your inbox. Okay, see Devin's here, 12,284. Avoidant, totally. Hey, Heidi, I feel you with that. Definitely. Burdened. Yep, it is. It's like that photo in the last slide, just emails following you around when you're walking down the street. Yeah, disorganized, overwhelmed, ashamed, avoidant. Yeah, okay. So this is great. This is a great place to start. So let's start actually with a shift in mindset because that was a really powerful piece for me that enabled me to approach this and maintain it over time. Um, it isn't just a method, it's a way of relating to email differently. So one mindset shift you can use. I love metaphors, so I'm gonna give you two, and they kind of work together or separately. But you can think of your inbox as a game where every email is a ball. So your job is to hit it, pass it, or let it drop. But if you let all of them drop, you're going to be like swimming in a mountain of baseballs and you won't be able to breathe. And that doesn't seem fun. So um, you want to basically, like, as things come at you, you want to have it systematized so that something automatically happens to ones that you don't have to make choices about, so that you can really focus on the emails that matter and actually get back to them or archive them or whatever. So the other metaphor is viewing your inbox as a to-do list, which is a place for like short-term action lists, not long-term storage. So again, you don't want to be like swimming in the storage unit of emails, which is how we get to numbers like 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, 100,000. The metaphor doesn't matter as much as the mindset. What matters is that you stop acting passively and start moving with intention. So hopefully this workshop will help you kind of make a shift and be like, I'm going to take the reins and I'm going to now be in charge of my inbox, and I'm going to be in charge of what gets my attention and what doesn't, because my time is valuable and I want to set this up in a way that works for me. So having that kind of shift is what opens the door to real change and made a really big difference in my life. So next, we're going to get the inbox ready. And in this presentation, I included screenshots for Gmail so that you can kind of see where the things are that I'm talking about. A lot of people just don't like go in and look around at the settings and what all the buttons mean, right? We know that send means send, and sometimes that's literally it. So I would encourage you to look around. I discovered this when I got curious. And I'm also going to include some visuals so that you can kind of see where we're going. So before we dig into tools, I'm going to point out a few things that we want to do to get your inbox ready to organize. I suggest that you use a compact view, which will help you see more emails on one page. Whether or not you switch it back to a more comfortable view after is fine, but for the sorting, definitely go to compact. And then I also recommend you turn off extra tabs so that you have all your emails in your inbox. Gmail actually has like a automatic filtering that it tries to set up for junk, but I found it's like just not there yet, and it sometimes misplaces things. And so I recommend you put everything in your inbox so then we can make choices about how to handle these things based on your life and your email flow. Okay. And someone's asking, are these options the same for Outlook? So as I said, I've had people come to me and say that they've been able to apply some of these principles to other platforms. So you may be able to do that, but I have never done that myself. But you can certainly go in and, see if they have an archive filter or feature and whatnot. I have had people tell me that that has worked for them. Okay, so first we're going to talk about, oh, did I skip one? No, get your inbox ready. Okay, first we're going to talk about archiving. So to start with archiving, I want to first define the differences between your inbox and all mail, which most people do not realize. So your inbox is for all active messages, things that you need to respond to, sort, decide on, or treat it like a live to-do list. This is where all mail arrives. It's like the mailbox, right? Or in your kitchen, like the pile of mail that you have to like deal with right away. All mail is a lesser known location, and you can see it on the right. I've circled inboxes at the top, but if you unfold the options, you'll see there's an all mail location, and all mail is a full archive. So it holds every message that you've ever sent or received unless you have deleted it, and it is chronological. So most people keep all mail in their inbox, and this is the first mistake. And so I just wanted to kind of point out the difference between those two things, because if you don't know that that exists, then of course, just like everything's going to live in your inbox and you're not going to know what to do with it. Okay, so archiving basically allows you to move things from your inbox to all mail. So it's a way to keep things without deleting them and to get them out of your inbox. So there actually is an option when you send mail to send an archive, which we're going to enable. And you can see sort of the visual on the slide of where to do this. So this is hands down my favorite, most impactful Inbox Zero tool, because without it, your inbox becomes like a sea of clutter, pulling your attention in every direction, just sorting through the noise and finding to find what matters. And that really burns mental energy. So this gives you a clean slate without deleting everything. Messages are simply moved out of the inbox and into all mail where they remain fully searchable. To use it, you want to activate the archive button in Gmail settings. Then you automatically send and archive all future outgoing messages as well as existing emails in your inbox that you are not going to deal with. This will make it disappear from your inbox while staying safe in all mail. So, like I said, as a first step, we want to enable send and archive. And then I recommend going to your inbox and selecting all messages from all time, from all pages, and archiving everything. And then you're going to go back into all mail and drag the most recent emails back into your inbox and then decide what to do with those. So to decide what to bring back, you're going to choose a forgiveness cutoff. This is like your personal line in the sand, and anything older than that, like, let's be honest, you're not responding. So consider this your permission to archive all of those things. It's a powerful reset that focuses your inbox on most recent emails so that you can actually deal with them. So I want to kind of ask everyone to just close your eyes for a second and take a deep breath and think. Be really brutally honest. What is your forgiveness cutoff? Is it 1 week, a month? I want to know, how old is an email? How old does an email need to be for you to be honest that you're not getting back to it? So if everyone can drop your cutoff in chat, if something is on page 2, are you honestly never going to respond to it? That's fine. No judgment, but let's put it in there. Okay, great. So Liz says 2 weeks. Yeah, let's see what everyone else has to say. Everyone's cutoff is different. When I did it, I think mine was a month, if I remember back. And now it's really, now I get back to emails much quicker than a month, but 2 weeks, 30 days. Awesome. This is great. Let's see what everyone has to say. I think 1 month. Okay, great. Yeah. So a few weeks, a month, 3 months, that's totally valid. You're like, I really want to get back to all emails within 3 months. That's great. Totally. So, you will choose your cutoff date and then pull everything back from that time period, which is going to be unique to you. And I'm seeing everything from a week to 3 months. And that's pretty standard for what I see with clients. So I officially give you permission to say, I'm definitely not going to respond to anything older than that. So I'm going to archive it. So enjoy. That's gonna be how you're gonna get from this 100,000 to a few hundred, right? Okay. So let's talk about filters and labels. This is tool number 2 that I love. All right. So this tool, it's actually a combination of tools, is powerful because it lets Gmail do the sorting for you. So now that we've cleared all emails from our inbox beyond our forgiveness date, we can set up filters and labels for recurring types of emails. So labels act like folders, and I sometimes accidentally call them folders because that's what they feel like. And filters are the instructions for that label. So when an email matches a certain criteria, you can set it to skip your inbox and go directly into a labeled folder. So this is great, a great tool for many different kinds of emails. And before I go into that, I'm going to recommend the 4 criteria that I use. And you can see here on the step number 3, I recommend, 4 criteria: skip the inbox, apply the label, which tells it it's going to skip the inbox and it's going to put it into this like folder label on the side. And you're going to never send it to spam. And then you're going to apply it to matching conversations, which means it'll also pull everything from your inbox, but also from all mail as well. So this is a total game changer for organizing things like receipts, bank statements, newsletters, all the admin noise of life. It's also incredibly helpful for keeping client or project emails grouped in one place, so you can set a time block to respond or work on that project. So for me, every client that I work with gets their own folder, and then they get my full concentration when I sit down and I go, okay, it's time for Monica today. So I'm going to look at these emails, have my project open, and really give that my full attention rather than trying to catch her emails in my inbox with everything else that doesn't need my full attention at that moment. So one pro tip about filters and labels: if you create them and use them, and then you decide you don't need one anymore because maybe a project's over, you want to make sure that you delete all the filters tied to it. Otherwise, Gmail will keep applying the old rule of skipping the inbox, but it won't have a label to go into, so it'll just go into all mail. So be sure when you switch up what filters and labels you're doing that you delete both of them. Okay, so tool 3, unsubscribing. This is one of those areas where we have to be really honest with ourselves. Once again, you can see that's kind of a theme here, radical honesty. As a business owner, I get the value of email marketing. But as a consumer, I loathe how overused it's become. When you go to a store and you buy something, and then before you get home, you have literally 7 emails in your inbox. I do not like that. I usually unsubscribe right away at that point. But this is why I practice and recommend slow marketing in both my business and with my clients. I definitely like newsletters more that show up mostly monthly. In a world where there's no signal, being quieter can actually make more of an impact, especially when you're a super small business and have smaller numbers of lists that you're working with. So for mailing lists and newsletters you do care about, filtering them into a label is a good first step. So I keep about a dozen that I love in a folder where I read with my morning tea. I call it the good stuff. I change the name of the folder occasionally. It's been the good stuff. It's been cream of the crop, morning tea. I also have a mailing list folder for brands that I want to stay loosely connected to, but I only check that occasionally. So everything else, I let it go. I unsubscribe. You can ask the Marie Kondo question here, which is, does it spark joy? And if not, it's clutter. So an action step, after archiving and filtering, notice what you skip. And if it's not something that was important enough to pull into a list, you want to unsubscribe. It's a small act that clears real mental space, and your future self will thank you because your time is valuable and everything that you allow into your inbox is going to take time. So making sure that you just keep what really matters. So a little fact for you here, if you need more motivation, if that's not enough, one of my favorite low waste podcasts is called One Can Hope, like one trash can. Shared that email habits can equal 100 plus miles of driving a year in terms of your the carbon cost. So I actually did my Inbox Zero training at their zero waste shop in Narberth, Pennsylvania, and they gave me a shout out in this episode, which was fun. But I highly recommend this episode if you need a little extra motivation to get on top of your mail game, because it's full of full of motivation and facts about mail and email, and just it'll make you want to inbox zero even more. Okay. So I'm going to move on now to number 4, which is called snoozing. Okay. So before I talk about snoozing, I actually have a question. If everyone can drop into chat here and let me know, how much time do you think the average worker spends on managing email each day? Let's get some answers. Okay. What do you think? 10 minutes, an hour, 2 hours? Great. Thanks, Vanessa. Let's see. 4 hours a day, 2 hours, 5 hours, 45 minutes. Okay. So according to a McKinsey report and some other workplace studies, the average person or worker spends over 3 hours per day. So think about that. That is 15 hours a week in email. So the pace of communication moves so fast these days. And we're no longer sending messages like on horseback, where it takes days of travel for a message to arrive. And because of this, it's great that everything is so fast, but just because you can doesn't mean you should. It's kind of a good rule of thumb here. And we can create sort of like such a fast swirl that we never get a break, we never get to pace, we never get to breathe. So in Gmail, there is a snooze button that you can make an email disappear and reappear at the time you choose, so you can pace and manage your correspondence bandwidth. And this is a great tool for vacations or weekends. Like if you're going on vacation, you can take your inbox, select everything, and hit snooze until you're back. Or you can do that on a Friday or Thursday, whenever you stop your work cycle, to give yourself that inbox zero and peace of mind over the weekend. And this is great also just for individual non-urgent messages that you don't need to act on right away, but you don't want to forget. Okay, so that's snoozing. And it looks like before we asked questions about how much time, there were a few questions. So I just want to circle back to those real quick before I move on to the next one. Okay, so the question is, with these filters, like the clients ones you mentioned, does that mean it's not in your inbox? Yes. So when we do filters into labels, you will have a set of labels on the left, and it will be in bold and show you the number of new emails there. So it's like a mini inbox for that person or that project. And so your relationship with sitting down to your inbox will change a little bit, in that your inbox is going to be totally like novel things that you need to do something with. But for projects, then you can say, okay, I'm going to time block and work with this client for an hour on their stuff. And so it'll show you the number. And then when that number is clear, you know that you don't have new mail from them. Okay, and then Brian says, how do I deal with my newsletter FOMO for the 1,000 newsletters that I get that I don't read per week? That's a great question. So my solution to this was the morning tea ritual, where I now sit down in the morning and I picked like the dozen that matter to me the most. And I like look through them, read them with my morning tea. You would either need to create enough time to read all of those so you don't have FOMO, or you need to be like, it's okay. Like, I don't need to read all of these. That's an unreasonable expectation. And I'm going to really only focus on what matters. There's a great book I'm reading right now called Do Less by Kate Northrup. And if you want some more inspiration for doing less and focusing on what matters, I highly recommend that. Okay, so thanks for those questions. And Devin for pointing that out. And we're going to have more time at the end also. I built in a lot of time for Q&A because I thought there might be a lot of questions. So keep them coming, and we'll also get to more at the end for sure. Okay, so snoozing. We just finished snoozing. Oh, one more thing about this. One thing I like to do, which is less of an email tool, but can be a helpful communication tool, is to send a quick message. If you get an email and you're like, ooh, I actually need a few days or a week or 2 weeks to respond to this, you can just say, hey, got your email, follow up in a few days or a week or two when I have the space to respond. And that lets people know that you're not ghosting them, but also that you have other demands on your time, and it can just be helpful communication or boundary. Okay, so this brings me to my last favorite tool, which is scheduling. Okay, so scheduling. I want to point out the schedule send button. Scheduling is complementary to snoozing, only it lets you take control of when your message is sent. So you can write an email anytime, but instead of sending it at 10 p.m. on a Saturday, when you're clearly violating your own work-life boundaries and don't want to set a precedent for that with your clients or employees or whoever you're communicating with, you can use schedule send to have it land in someone else's inbox during work hours. It's a simple way to set healthy boundaries while still being productive on your own terms and timeline. So this is also a great tool for sending follow-ups or accountability nudges, especially if you're the one managing a project or client flow. You can write the email now and schedule it to land exactly when it needs to. And you will be able to see, I don't have it pictured here, but in Gmail, on the left panel where it says inbox, below that, there is a like a snoozed folder and a schedule send folder, or label, is what they're called. And you can click on that and see all the emails that you have snoozed and all the emails that you have scheduled. So if you schedule something and then you change your mind, you can always go and work with it and finesse it a little bit more. But this just helps you kind of take the reins back. And I think that's what this is all about, is being like, okay, I'm actually going to give myself the agency to say, this is how much time I want to give to my email, and this is how I want my relationship to my email to feel. And so I'm going to invest a little bit of upfront time into like learning this system, setting it up, not getting lost in the weeds, giving myself a forgiveness date, archiving, labeling, so that you can really like reset work-life boundaries with yourself, or apply that to boundaries that will help you even just in other correspondence, like personal correspondence with family or friends or whatever you're using email for. So the last two, snoozing and scheduling, really focus on managing the pace, but it all ties together into this like, okay, I want to take ownership over my work-life balance, because then you show up for people and you really like can give more when you are showing up. More time does not equal more productivity, because studies have shown that your productivity and your ability to be impactful actually like wanes over time. So by using these tools, putting some boundaries around email, we actually are able to show up better for those we are corresponding with and those we are working with. Okay, and what are the results of this? So inbox zero. This is what you can expect to see visually when you clean your inbox and actually answer all of your important emails. You achieve inbox zero and get a nice message that says, no new mail. And if you have the Gmail app on your phone, you will notice when this happens, sometimes they put up a nice little graphic of a person, I think they're like sitting under the sun on the beach, like sipping a drink. And it's like, yeah, I would much rather be spending my time doing that than answering an unlimited amount of emails. Oh, and actually, I just want to go back. You can see on the left here, you can see labels. These are actually folders. Like I have labels stacked underneath these, but you can see I have one for admin and I have one for clients. So you can kind of decide what label categories you want and stack multiple labels underneath other labels. It's like a whole fun system that once you know it's there, you can really customize and get into. Okay, so in a few minutes, we're going to get into Q&A. But first, I just wanted to answer the question of where do you go from here when you want to get started? So you can certainly DIY this. That's the choice that most people take when I give this workshop. And I do provide a free checklist and also the ability to access these slides on my website. You can also book a one-on-one session, which some people choose to do if they want me to kind of go in there and just like screen share and screen control and like help you get to your baseline with and like think through your labels and filters. Both options are available at avilaurenfox.com/inbox0. So you can download the checklist, access this presentation, or schedule a session. I also offer corporate trainings for teams looking to boost their efficiency and reduce email overwhelm within a company or organization. So you can choose which path you want. But for both of them, there are free resources or opportunity to communicate about more on my website, avilaurenfox.com/inbox-0. So like yoga, I think I mentioned this at the beginning, inbox zero is a practice and it only works if you show up. So I've been using this system consistently for 7 years, 8 years, 7 years, teaching it to clients, and I've seen it create real clarity and ease for individuals and businesses alike. But you do have to show up to practice. You got to get it set up, do initial learning, and then like it becomes something that you enjoy showing up for. Okay, so thank you so much for joining today. Don't go away because we have Q&A and I already see a lot of questions rolling in. Um, and I wish you all best of luck, though, regardless of what path you choose. This system has made such a huge difference in my life, helping me feel more focused, more present, way less overwhelmed. And I hope it helps everyone, get their digital life feeling more manageable. And let's go into Q&A because I'd love to hear what everyone's questions are. Okay.
Let's see. Well, first off, Avi, thank you so much. It took a lot away from today's session, and I need to go in and actually utilize some of these tools. I use Outlook for my day job, and then I use Gmail for everything personal. And I'm not saying I don't have issues managing my work email, but I really do have a lot bogged down in my personal email that this will come in handy for. And then I'll be able to apply some of these. I'm going to go on a little journey and investigate Outlook today and see how I can apply some of these similar tools in there.
Awesome.
But it does look like you're right. We do have a couple questions. I'm seeing one here from Vanessa Donnelly. When should we actually delete the archive all mail folder?
Great question. So Vanessa, you don't actually ever delete that. I don't think you can delete it because it's built into the Gmail system. If you wanted to delete all of those emails, you would go into the all mail label and then select all emails and hit delete. But you can also search for, like, let's say that you were on a mailing list that sent you 20 emails a day, for like the last 5 years. You could also just search for that email and then select all of those emails and delete those, which would allow you to also keep the more important ones in your archive of all mail. And I do that occasionally, so I will not delete anything from all mail. But for my mailing lists or my newsletter folder, I will actually every now and then just clear like a few thousand emails that I've built up and delete them. And then I have a manual label that's called Things to Save. And if I want to save anything, I just put that in there. So hopefully that answers your question, Vanessa. That's a great question.
And let's see, they're really coming in now. Okay, great. So Maiden Events says, of all of the tools that you reviewed today, what have you found to be, of all of them, the best tactic for managing your email?
I think it would be the combination of archiving to get to baseline and then filters and labels to like manage the flow. I think those two together are definitely the most impactful, because that allows you to clear and get back to a baseline and also get real about what you want to see and want to use. So if you decide you don't want to unsubscribe, I don't recommend this, but some people do this. They will just like filter all of the things they don't want to unsubscribe to into a label and let them pile up. Eventually you might have to pay for more storage, but you can do that.
And Avi, like, completely take over if you don't want me kind of going through the comments with you or the questions with you, but you've already done enough today. I want to lift some of the some of the stress off of you. So Brian says, or is asking, what is the best way to respond to cold outreach sales emails? Quick, no thanks, ignore, cry.
I mean, all of the above work. I think that I would just unsubscribe. If someone's being really obnoxious and not listening to your boundary, you can mark it as spam. But yeah, unsubscribe, definitely.
Yeah, that kind of, I always question, like, what is the email, the appropriate, response to these unwanted inquiries.
Yeah, and if they don't have an unsubscribe button, which I'm realizing is maybe what you're saying, Brian, I just say, like, please remove me from your list. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then Coworkers says, so when selecting all, it only selects the emails showing on the screen. So I can only archive those one at a time. Is there a way to actually select all of the emails rather than 50 or so at a time?
Yeah, so you'll notice you can choose how many emails show up on one page. In settings, there's an option to show, I think it's like 25, 50, 100. But you'll notice when you select, if you use the select all feature for selecting all mail on your inbox page, a little bar will appear that says you're selecting only this page. Do you want to select all emails in the inbox? And you can click yes. And then that'll do the 10,000, the 50,000. Now, I have found if you have like 100,000 emails, you sometimes have to repeat this because Gmail can do like a few thousand at a time. So if you have 100,000 emails, it might take like 20 minutes, half an hour to just keep doing that. But that's the most I've ever had it take to totally clear.
Good to know. The Connected Way says, do you have any recommendations for services that would help with massive unsubscriptions?
I don't know if that exists for email. On that podcast I mentioned with One Can Hope, they referenced a few services that can do that for snail mail. I'm not sure if they said something about email, but I don't think that exists. I would love to know if it did. But the best way to handle that, Devin, would be to select in your all mail or your inbox, like all similar emails that you want to unsubscribe from, and then filter those into a label, and then you'll have them there and you can begin to go through and unsubscribe that way, because at least they'll be in one place. And then it's just like click, delete. And then when you start doing the same ones over and over again, you'll be like, oh, I already unsubscribed from this.
Okay. It's funny, I'm seeing some people answering questions.
Yes.
For people in the chat. And then I saw a comment from Liz further up. Share those Outlook tools, Rachel. I'm sure I won't present it in as organized a way as Avi did this morning, but I certainly will, Liz. And like on that note, in addition to, you see the slide that's up on the page or up on the screen right now, but I believe we shared that link also in the chat for resources to refer back to after the presentation. As per usual, the chamber also will send like a follow-up email after this. And for anyone who's in the chat or in the event who joined us a few minutes late, just note that if you missed anything today, we are recording today's session and it'll be available on our YouTube page under the live tab.
No, that's great. And I'm so glad we're going to get to share a lot of these resources after. And I love how everyone is already going in and doing this. It's really hard not to get started once you're like, wait, there's an archive button? What? There's an all mail? And I see, Devin, you're saying that my personal email has been shared somehow, so I get insane spam and I never signed up for it. So it's a lot to deal with. I totally feel for you. I think that in that case, you can start to leverage like the spam, like mark this as spam and kind of train Gmail to know what is spam. You also could consider if it's like, I don't know how much it is, but you could consider if it's totally unmanageable, getting a different email or just doing a massive filter. So, you know, filtering everything that is spam and letting that catch on. But I totally feel for you. That's a tough thing to deal with. But I love that everyone is starting to do this. And it looks like Liz said that I've already moved 40,000 emails already. So that's great, right? This really big thing where I don't know if you remember this slide at the beginning, but I'm going to flip back real quick. Do you remember this picture, right? These are the 40,000 emails, Liz, that you just moved. I should have a picture at the end that's like, oh, now I'm sitting here without emails swirling around my head. So I love that everyone is moving everything. And Devin, looks like you're saying it's a lot. So yeah, it might be that email, you might want to consider cutting it and doing a new one if it's easier just to tell the people that you communicate with. You can also set up, if you do decide to get a new email, you can add your personal correspondence to your contact list on that Gmail. And then you can basically set an auto response to go to those people that say, hey, like only to those people, hey, my email has changed because I got so much spam here. You can now find me at this new address. So that is a unique situation, but definitely something that you can do. Okay, so coworkers. Sometimes I do a key search word like Target or something, and it will show only the emails from Target, and then I will select them all and delete them. And then remember to unsubscribe. So yeah, I love how you're using these tools. You're recognizing that there are more ways than one to like find and select emails other than just going through your inbox and selecting them. And you can certainly do search keywords. I do recommend unsubscribing over deleting. If you notice, I don't have a page that recommends delete, because if it's something that is repetitive, that only deals with everything you've gotten, not like the 10,000 emails they're going to send you over the next few years. Mm-hmm. So I would definitely recommend unsubscribing, because that cuts it off at the source, and you're saving your future self time, basically. You know, and this whole training is really about saving your future self time. You know, we live in a world that is ever changing. There's also a lot of AI present now. And there are tools that are like promising to do this for you. I have tried a lot of them and I'm still using this system because technology isn't quite there yet where it can auto sort in a way that it like knows your world like you do. But you just have more important things to do with your life. And I'd love to take a minute now that, you know, in the beginning, I asked you some questions about like how it made you feel to have an overwhelming inbox. And I would love you to tell me like how do you imagine it would make you feel if you had inbox zero under control? And what would you do with that time? So like for me, it's kind of going off script here, but I've got a bunch of backyard chickens, and I like spending more time with them outside. Like I literally, like I made them a holiday card with my free time. Like there's so many more fun, creative things you can do to connect with yourself and the world than be dealing with email. So can we all take a minute and give me some adjectives as to how you imagine having inbox zero will make you feel once you set up this system? So for me, it's like spacious, free, like room to explore. I think you're all just in your inboxes doing this right now. That's what happens at the end. Uncluttered. Yeah, totally. It would be great to feel uncluttered. Brian, zen. Yes. It would be great to feel zen. Organized. Totally. I always say that with inbox zero, I kind of take an approach, and like with inbox zero and with the work I do with strategic organization for my clients, I always say that I kind of have like a Marie Kondo approach with like a Taylor Swift level of enthusiasm for organizing. Because it's just like, it's the rewards you get are so big. You can feel more calm, serene, love that, room to be more creative, relieved, clear, definitely. And Devin, especially if you're dealing with that spam situation, like I totally feel that for you. This is all such a great vision, and I love this for everyone. Does anyone have any more questions about setting this up? Don't be afraid if you think it's silly. It's probably not. You can kind of poke around the settings wheel in Gmail and look at other options too. These are my favorite 5 tools, but there are a lot of other things that you can do as well. Or is everyone just off inbox zeroing their emails now, which I love. It's a great DIY.
I have a little, I just want to pick your brain a little bit. Just while we have people off doing a little bit of work in the last 3 minutes of the show. In the meantime, I was wondering, so, I mean, you've mentioned, in our pre-event meetings, we kind of touched on this too, like choosing a practical, being honest with yourself about like the forgiveness setting and just kind of like showing yourself a little bit of grace and just being practical. I wonder so I'm assuming you've seen all sizes of inboxes of clutter. What is a client experience that stands out to you that who may have had like an incredibly cluttered inbox? The only reason I'm asking is it may continue to help others in today's training just kind of reiterate the fact that like it's okay, everyone deals with this, here are the tools, move forward. But yeah, so what is a client experience that stands out to you?
Absolutely. So I'll share the first one that came to mind, and that's a client of mine who she actually does consulting as well, but for like higher education fundraising. And she was like very established in that field, but had always worked for consulting firms and directly for like higher education institutions. And then she went out on her own, and I had actually like photographed, done some photography before for her. And she ended up kind of like, oh my gosh, like self-employment, this is a total other beast. And she's one of the first clients I had where I like shared this with her. I did some consulting with her to help her kind of get going. And it just totally, she was one of the people who was like, wait, this is amazing. She's still doing it today, I believe. And it really helped her get organized from the start. And it also started a bigger conversation about time blocking. whether you are working for a company and you have like a number of hours a week you work, or if you're working for yourself and you have to figure out how to split your time between actual client work or working on your business and working in your business, are like two very different things.
Mhm.
You know, she sort of really honed in on that. The time blocking was really helpful in terms of being able to sit down and say, okay, I have an hour and I'm going to work on this client project, right? Especially if you bill hourly, or if you're working on a project and you want to prevent like leakage from that, like time wise. You can also use this system in conjunction with Harvest, or a time tracking tool, because then it just really helps keep things sort of in silos, so that you're not like in your inbox being like, here's an email from Sherry and Joe, and then there's this, and then there's that. And it helps maintain focus. And she really like drilled that home to me. And that was what made me want to offer this to other people as well.
That's good. That's awesome to hear. Yeah, I like your mention of putting projects and tasks in silos. Yeah, I was saying to a colleague, this is one of our busiest times of the year here at the Chamber, and I've been getting this visual in my head, on those mystery shows where someone's trying to find the criminal and they're drawing like strings from here across a board connecting to that. And sometimes that's what my mind feels like.
Yeah.
And unless I have to curb my behavior around my email, I have to be very intentional, because if I open an email and just to read it, because I can't stand the idea of having 10 more emails having come in the last 10 minutes, even if I flag it or mark it as read, I filed it away, and there's a possibility of it being forgotten. So I have to be very careful and actually, yes, silo all of these projects that I'm working on.
Yeah, and it also makes it very clear how much time you do have time for. And then where you need to set boundaries, or say like, I'm at max load, like I'm at max capacity right now. In my inbox, I tend to have 5 or 6 emails at a time that I need to deal with. Sometimes if it gets up to 20, I get real grumpy. And I'm like, okay, I've got to like sit down and clear this. But I'm really I've trained myself over the years to get to that point where it feels so much better to have that clear, that it's worth actually dealing with it. And the final thing I'll say on that is it's a system that requires you face the music. So you end up developing this skill set where you actually are becoming a better decision maker, because you're choosing what to do with it. You're not just letting it sit there and avoiding it. So it's a way to kind of build a better skill set in terms of engagement, setting boundaries, and actually making yourself available in your greatest capacity to do the work.
I think that's like the perfect message to end on. But as you can see, I've been very, very into today's training. Definitely taking some tools home with me, or back to the office, and going to apply those moving forward. You've been so helpful. Thank you so much, Avi. As I mentioned earlier, so your presentation is accessible to those who attended today, and via your website, the link that was dropped in the comment section, but also everyone who's here this morning, keep an eye out for your follow-up email with a link to all the additional resources. And give today's session a second watch if you need a little bit of a refresher. I certainly will be. So thank you so much, Avi.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. And thanks for everyone who attended. Wishing everyone best of luck.
Okay. So yes, as Avi mentioned, thank you all for attending this morning. I'd also, in addition to Avi's great work this morning, I also want to say thank you to someone who's always behind the curtain with these virtual events, my colleague, Riley Legier. Thank you so much, Riley, for producing yet another successful virtual event here at the Chamber. And of course, I'd be remiss if I did not give another shout out to our series sponsor, Eaton Peabody, for their support yet again of the 8th season of Growth Basics for Business. If you're interested in presenting at Growth Basics for Business or know of an industry professional who may be interested, please visit our website, portlandregion.com, to submit an event proposal. If you have any questions, our team's direct contact information can be found on our website as well. We currently run this series from September through June. So we are full for the rest of this season. We have May and June left in this season, but I am currently looking to design next season's programming. So if you know anyone, or if you yourself are a chamber member and you would like to present, please don't hesitate to reach out. So with that, thank you again for attending today's event. We'll see you next month here on Growth Basics for Business.